Hi, everybody. I'm Harvey Silverman, and welcome to another version of Golf Business Live Tech Talks. Today, we're going global, and I think with our guest, we'll have a record set for the distance between our guest and the home headquarters of the NGCOA in Charleston, South Carolina. I want to introduce to you a gentleman I met at the PGA show in January, standing in a very impressive display. His name is Nolan Arons. Nolan and I hit it off right away because we're both former Golden Gophers from the University of Minnesota. We commiserated on the fact that in a league that included teams with names like Hawkeyes and Spartans and Wolverines, we were Gophers, which really is kind of embarrassing. But after I left Minnesota, they changed it to Golden Gophers, which supposedly made it more acceptable to people, a better moniker. Really doesn't make any difference. So we have Nolan Arons, who is the global sales manager for a company called Nanointech out of Seoul, South Korea, and that's where Nolan is joining us today. Nolan, welcome to Golf Business Live Tech Talks.
Thanks, Harvey. Yeah, happy to be here.
Like I said, we met at the PGA show. You had a very impressive display that really caught my eye as I was wandering the floor looking for subjects for this broadcast, this webcast, showing us new battery types and not just the batteries themselves, but the management system, the battery management system that you developed, which I don't think is available anywhere else in the golf cart world. Is that correct?
Well, there's battery management systems there should be battery management systems in every cart, but we try to add a little bit more technology to ours so that, we can kind of bring golf carts into the modern world in terms of your average car nowadays has obviously GPS, but they've got touchscreen computers in their car now. So we're trying to bring a little bit of that into the used and new golf cart space.
Okay. So give us a brief history on Nanointech and how you got involved coming out of Minnesota with a company in Seoul, South Korea.
Yeah, so Nanointech started about 30 years ago. The parent company did some milling equipment here in Korea. My boss, the CEO, the leader of the engineering research center here in Seoul, he's been working with batteries his whole life. There's a documentary about him going from, I think it was the South Pole, traveling through the South Pole with solar batteries on some sort of, I don't know what they were using, sled maybe, something powered by solar. I don't really know. So he's kind of known in South Korea for his battery expertise. And then I was just in Korea after graduating from Minnesota, University of Minnesota, worked for 5 years in Minnesota as an engineer, and then moved to Korea for fun. So that's how I find myself here in Korea. And I got lucky to find this company kind of as they were looking for someone with my engineering skills. But then, Harvey, as you saw, I was at the PGA show kind of doing sales and marketing as well. So now I get to do both. I get to be the BMS engineer and also the sales and marketing manager for our global sales division.
And just so we have it well defined, BMS stands for Battery Management System, correct?
Correct, yes.
All right. Now everybody knows exactly what you do and what that acronym means. So we saw in the material you sent us really two different battery types that can be used in golf cars. One is a replacement battery that fits into the current battery storage area of a golf cart. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's our N series, and that's perfect summary of that.
Okay, so what's the process of replacing current batteries with your battery, that series that fits into that compartment?
Yeah, so It's pretty simple. It depends on which model you have, obviously, but we have a mounting bracket, and the battery sits on top of the mounting bracket and gets screwed in. And then we just have, depending on your controller, we have cabling that fits with any of the, MCUs, motor control units that are in any of the main carts that are on the resale, EasyGo, Club Car, Tomberlin, Yamaha. And so you can just drop it right into the bucket under the seat there, hook it up to your MCU, and you're good to go. We obviously provide a little bit more safety instruction for for the technician installing it. But as far as we're concerned, when it comes to testing, we just drop them into used carts we buy and start using them. So it's really that easy. But like you said, when you're doing a replacement market, a lot of golf carts now are using a series of batteries. Maybe you've got a couple 6-volt or 12-volt. Lead acid is kind of old now, but even lithium ion kind of chaining some together, which is a little bit more, obviously it's more expensive to have the plastics for 3, 4, or 5 separate batteries, the mechanical parts, but it's heavier, it's not as efficient as well. So we just have the one pack that comes in, like I sent you guys. Hopefully you can put some of this up, but we have several models with different voltages or current outputs. So you have different power output selection when you're getting a cart. So you can get your 2-seater up to, a family golf cart for cruising around the neighborhood. And they all have N-series replacements ready for them. And then, like you said, it comes with the battery management system, which every battery management system should be, making sure they're not overcharging or undercharging, making sure that the battery is always healthy. If you charge a battery too much, it'll potentially start on fire. So that's obviously not good. But if you also run it too low, it'll die. You'll never be able to charge it again. So battery management system is kind of just what happens without anybody knowing it's happening. Your battery doesn't set on fire. You don't ruin your battery. But as far as the user is concerned, nothing is happening. And that's what every battery management system on the market should have. But like I was talking about before, we added GPS, LTE, Bluetooth, so you can always monitor that replacement battery as well.
So I just visited a friend of mine in Arizona who's got actually 2 electric carts in his little town that he buzzes around in. So does an individual owner then have access to that battery management system, like Bluetooth through his phone?
Yeah. So, it depends on what cart that the person has or if they're a hobbyist, but you could connect the Bluetooth up to a always on display, and you could be monitoring the state of charge, the speed, the state of health. You could be monitoring everything while you're driving. You could hook it up to your phone so that you're checking it as each day if you want to. You can get alarms sent to your phone. But also it's connected to the LTE network. So you can have like always smart sent to the cloud battery system information, as much or as little as you want. But it'll send you an alarm, let's say, if your battery is in need of service. Maybe you've had it for 10 years and the charge is now less efficient and it might be more cost efficient to get a new battery. It'll give you an alarm so that it's time for maintenance. So yeah, it kind of depends how much technology you want to use, but the individual user can definitely use all of this technology.
And then on a fleet situation, then I assume that a superintendent or a mechanic or golf course manager could be monitoring all these things on a laptop or PC.
Yeah. So there's, I guess, the 2 use cases of if you own a course and you have a golf cart fleet, you kind of want to make sure that they're ready to go for the day. Make sure all your carts are charged. If there's a cart that's maybe gonna run out of steam for some reason or another. If someone's maybe driving a cart off the course, the GPS fencing will keep it within the boundaries of your course. So if you're a golf course owner, definitely you can use our app. It's called the MEO app, MEO. And that's just an easy way for you to maintain your fleet. You register as when you buy, it gets registered to your name, and then or your dealership or your golf course, and then you've always got a one-stop shop to check your fleets, check the charge, check the state of health, check where your carts are, how many are online, how many are on the course, how many are in storage, how many are waiting outside for you. And then also, I guess if you're let's say you're a distributor and you're selling carts with a warranty and you want to ensure that the user is using the battery correctly, you have, let's say in the warranty, you have that you can't use at a certain temperature. Usually if it's too cold, you can't use the battery. If it's obviously it's too hot, but too hot is kind of hard to get by. Too cold is definitely a use case that people can see, especially if you're somewhere like Minnesota where we spent some of our formative years. If you're running the battery at those cold temperatures, it usually, depending on who it is, but it'll avoid the warranty, or there's no way of, even educating the user. You can't be using the battery at this temperature. So if you're a distributor, you can use it that way. But the main reason that we have this is if you're a distributor, you know exactly when carts are ready for maintenance, and you don't have to ever, wait for a call. Hey, I'm stuck. Come fix my cart. Or if you're a user, you don't have to get stuck. Tow it out somehow. These will give you a warning.
So a distributor can use this to monitor the fleets that they have out in the field that they've either sold or leased, and be kind of a first line of defense against cart problems, alerting the client that, hey, you've got a problem with cart number 84 or whatever that you should take care of or take a look at.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're distributing to several golf courses in the area, you'd say you got five carts that might need maintenance, you can kind of just knock them all out at once instead of waiting for one to break, waiting for the other to break, and so on. So it's really useful for the distributor, but also, again, for someone who owns a course who's got to just maintain these carts. State of charge is often something that, you have to go around with a tester just to test to see if your carts are charged. And this is just all one-stop shop. You can check all your carts, which ones are ready to go, which ones are still charging, and start the morning right.
Wow. So the other battery I saw at the PGA show, I call it a flat panel battery, but it's similar to what's being installed in electric automobiles like Tesla.
Yes.
The flat panel that sits on the floor.
Yeah, we call it the skateboard.
Skateboard. Okay. Yeah. I like that. Can that be used as a replacement battery on current carts, or is that something that would be in a new production with a golf cart?
That's for new production primarily. If you had a cart that had a skateboard battery installed in it, then you could replace it with ours. But I don't know of any models right now that are doing that.
Yeah.
That's primarily why we're getting a lot of attention is from this skateboard, form factor, which, like you said, is being used in automobiles. And why not carts? It really frees up the cart manufacturer design team to kind of, have a lot more freedom when they're designing a cart. They don't have that bucket underneath the driver's seat that they have to put the battery. If it's in the floor, then you can do whatever you want with the cart in terms of layout. It also, I guess, helps with a little bit of weight distribution as well, but I'm not that kind of engineer, so I can't speak much to that.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, whether that changes I would assume it changes the weight distribution. Is it heavier than a current battery pack, or is it lighter, giving the cart more, not just more mobility, but less stress on the turf, which is always a problem for superintendents, is the amount of damage that carts do on turf. And part of that is the weight. A lot of people don't realize that carts weigh up to about 1,500 pounds.
Yeah.
And even though that weight is spread across 4 wide tires, it's still stressful on the turf.
Yeah. Well, the weight is definitely more distributed evenly around the cart. So instead of being a little bit front heavy, you're going to be over the back tires as well.
Mm-hmm.
The weight is similar just because it depends what model you're getting, of course. But it's the same battery technology inside. It's just the batteries we use, the form factor is like a thin plate.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of batteries are the cylinders,
Mm-hmm.
small,
Mm-hmm.
like double A's, but bigger. And the form factor we use are slim plates, which is why we can do the skateboard form factor. It definitely affects weight distribution. But again, I'm not a mechanical engineer, so I don't want to, maybe, if there's one mechanical engineer that watches this and I say something wrong, I know they'll be outraged. So.
Yeah, I get it. We, in Harry and I doing some of the research on this, we saw that your batteries can be hooked up to solar panels.
Yeah. So the idea there is for, let's say, your village type setup where you've got the golf course and a gated community, the grocery store, the movie, whatever. You've got a community that's primarily getting around with golf carts. And these carts can be hooked up directly to the home, and they can power the home with the battery. So you can use your battery to be powering your home electronics. So you charge the battery at night when electricity is cheap, when power consumption is cheap. And then during the day when it's expensive, you're running your air conditioning or your heater, I guess. It's expensive. You can run your basic electronic systems, your kitchen, whatever you want, from your battery. So it's cheaper. And then whatever you don't use, you can still use for your cart. And then, like you said, you can hook it up to solar panels as well. So let's say, there's many use cases for this. You could power your cart via solar if you wanted to. But you could, if you're only golfing Saturday, Sunday, during the week, you can use it to power your home. You can hook up solar panels to this bank, hook up the power bank to your home and power your home during the week. And that's just, it's not something that you can do currently with most batteries that you have, but because the type of batteries we use and also the energy density of our batteries, for how light they are, you can actually store and generate quite a bit of electricity. So these batteries are kind of intended for golf carts, of course, but I always kind of tell people it's so much more. It's just, if you buy it for a golf cart, there's many things you can do. If you buy it for your home, there's many more things you can do. They do pretty much everything.
So I have a client, he's got a small fleet, 9-hole golf course, has 30 carts, and he charges his carts using solar power. He's got panels on his small cart barn, and that's how he's been charging his carts now for, 4 or 5 years. He's in an area up here in Northern California, gets plenty of sunlight. So if he changed his fleet to your batteries, he'd still be able to charge with that solar power without any problem?
Yeah. I'm not sure what his setup is, but he could directly hook the panels up to our batteries even and just charge them directly. If he's using solar panels to another power bank and then power bank to batteries, that would also work. But he could again buy, and we sell ESS as well. So we sell golf cart batteries, but we also sell storage systems.
Mm-hmm.
And the storage systems are again similar technology as the golf cart battery. So if you buy a bigger golf cart battery, you can store energy and then charge several carts with that one battery.
Wow. Are you aware, in California, we've been told by one of our members that they're getting some rebates for switching their fleets from gas to electric. Are you aware of anything that is happening on a policy or regulation side of using your batteries in lieu of the lead acid, for instance, which has environmental issues, or even changing over from gas?
Yeah, well, so for low speed vehicles, it kind of lags behind I guess, everything else. So usually it's automotive first, and then low speed vehicles kind of slowly follow afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Right now in Europe, I think it's by 2030, they're going to be switching over to a majority of their high speed and low speed vehicles will be lithium or alternative energy sources, but they're heavily pushing into lithium. I think the current administration in America, the Biden administration, has been really pushing rechargeable stations for EVs throughout America.
Right.
And then state by state, usually it's not a federal level, but state by state, you've been seeing these rebates. I mean, 10 years ago, you were seeing them for cars, even in hybrids. You were getting a pretty healthy rebate for just switching to a hybrid. So yeah, we're seeing kind of policy changes. In America, it's a little bit slower. In Europe, it's rapid, but kind of nudging owners kind of towards, if you're purchasing the new system, if you're purchasing a new fleet, you should be moving to EV. And I don't want to say most states, but I've seen quite a few states kind of financially giving incentives to switch over to alternative energy, which in LSV world is lithium ion.
Right. Okay. So if a golf course wanted to switch its entire fleet, entire current electric fleet to your batteries, what would that process look like?
Well, depends how big their fleet is.
Okay, let's say an average fleet is 70 carts.
Okay. So they'd contact a local distributor, which we'll just say is Z1 in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the volume, if it's 70, they give them a quote for those batteries. They would ship the batteries there, and either a technician would come along with, or a technician for the course, if the course has a technician, would be trained to install the batteries.
Mm-hmm.
We prefer to train a technician to install them because it's relatively easy compared to what it used to be. It's a cable, and if you use the replacement batteries that don't use our batteries to start with, we have one extra little system in place. We intercept the pedal, the gas pedal throttle, so that when the battery is at low charge and you're, pedal to the metal all the way down, there's no way for the battery to tell the MCU if it's a replacement battery with any battery, not just ours, with any replacement battery. We're out of juice. We're gonna quit pretty soon. So we added a little extra step to intercept the throttle pedal so that if we're out of juice, we can throttle back ourselves. So we take the throttle signal to our battery back to the MCU. But other than that, you plug it in drop it in. They're lighter than lead acid, so installing them, depending on the model, if you have one person could lift it, but I think OSHA mandates two. You have two people dropping those in, but they're light. You drop it, you put the mounting bracket in, you drop the battery in, you plug it into the MCU, and you should be good to go.
Wow. Okay. How heavy are these batteries?
Depends on the model. I think I'm actually at a trade show this week in Korea here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I was looking today at one of our models was like 66 pounds, something like that.
Okay.
Which I think that's kind of our standard 48 volt 156 model, but it's in the reading material. So if I'm wrong, you can put it up on screen and prove me wrong right now. But compared to lead acid, it's not even close. It's just so much lighter for the amount of charge you get.
Yeah, I mean, I think a typical lead acid series is probably 6 batteries, and that's got to be a lot more than 66.
Yeah. I don't know how much it is. I'll just say I would not want to do that job, but I was lifting the batteries at the show today, and it was no problem for me. So
okay, cool. Well, this is interesting because I think we have to advance in golf cart design and efficiencies, as you know, whether it's for environmental reasons or cost reasons or just ease of maintenance and understanding what the carts are doing on a daily basis. Because, you know, as Harry and I were discussing earlier, nothing bothers a golf course operator more than having booked a full field event, showing up on Monday for a shotgun start with 144 players and 6 or 8 or 10 carts aren't working.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing more aggravating. Now they're on the phone trying to call a local distributor. Hey, can you get me 6 or 8 or 10 carts right away? Bring them over. I need them by, 11 o'clock shotgun start. And that's expensive. And that eats into whatever profit they've already built into their event contract. So it just seems to me that what you are producing, especially, and I want you to talk a little bit more about the battery management system, but what you're producing with that is can give golf course operators a forewarning of what's happening with their fleet or particular carts, and have that taken care of well before the cart has to be put on the line to be used on the course. Is that correct?
Yeah. I guess from that, going back to that scenario you just brought up of, you've got an event and you've got 5-10 carts broken. When it comes to lithium ion, the systems themselves, the moving pieces inside the cart are much fewer. So the maintenance is just easier. There's just not as many things to break. Mm-hmm. If you're talking about maintenance, just like routine maintenance, there's no oil change on a lithium ion battery, so an oil change is no big deal for your average once a year if you've got a hobby cart. But a golf course that's got 70 carts and they're running year round, that's a lot of work, and you just never have to do it with an electric cart. So again, if you're not concerned about the environment, you should still be concerned with your bottom line. And the bottom line is, if you find an electric cart and a gas model, they're pretty comparable in price, but long-term, your maintenance fees are far exceeding if you're going with a gas alternative. So,
all right. So this is really interesting, and I think it's timely again because of the conversations I see between NGCOA members about cart issues. It seems to be like, if it's not at the top of the list is usually turf issues, but cart issues are right behind. Especially as golf has become more popular, there's more people coming out to play. There's probably more people riding carts now, renting carts now than ever before. And having a stable working full fleet of carts has to be essential to a golf operation. And I think what you're bringing to the market elevates that reliability that golf course operators just hope for and strive for with their cart fleets. This is terrific. I think we've also about the technology conference we have coming up in October. Love to have you there. I think this would be certainly something that's never. We've done 2 other technology conferences, just so you know, and we never had anything like this at those technology conferences. So this would be a unique presentation for the people showing up there, and we're expecting a pretty big crowd. So this would be great. Hope you can make it. And
love to be there.
Nolan, thank you for coming to us from South Korea. You have set our new distance record for a guest on Golf Business Live. I don't think that anybody will be able to beat it. And this has been enlightening for me. Enlightening, that's kind of a ironic term when we're talking about electricity, but enlightening for me about where batteries are progressing to, specifically to golf cart fleets. And we thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much.